I've seen them all, taken them. I've never seen anything like this.
Changed my life, and it brings to an understanding not only your communication, but your behavior. He said, I don't think you should get married. Well, that hit me wrong.
Because there were times he'd say, Cindy, I can't deal with the emotions. Can you just like pull them down, do something? I can't make a decision that fast, but he needed fast decisions. And I had to get on board with that because it was life-saving for our marriage.
Yeah.
And what we've seen it do in the corporate world is it shows people the opportunity and to embrace who God created them and how to celebrate who they are.
Yeah. So do you ever wonder why you can't connect with people? And what if the key isn't more conversations, but actually understanding the language they're speaking? Our guests today are here to give us a powerful tool that's helping people all over the world learn to communicate with clarity and purpose. But before we get to that, join me around the table is April Simons. We want to know how to communicate.
We do, and we got our friends to tell us how. I love it.
I love it. I love it. And
So
we're going
great.
to talk about an assessment that you can take. And you've done it.
I've done it.
And it's-
y'all made me do it, and I did it, and I loved it. It
Yeah.
taught me a lot. It really helped me.
It really will. We're gonna help people understand that. Dorothy Newton, how are you?
Doing so good.
Yeah?
Yes.
You doing good?
I am. I am, and I'm excited about this. I had some previous experience in the corporate world with it, and that's worked really well with our guests today. So I'm
Yeah.
excited to just, hear more.
Rachel Lamb Brown, I know you're excited about this show today.
Oh my goodness, I'm so excited because this assessment literally changed my life. In
Okay.
every area, especially in the workplace environment, I just saw such dramatic results and how I could communicate with my team, how I could get more efficiency, get more done,
Yeah.
less tensions, and then also like in my marriage and my family,
Yeah.
there's so much more understanding.
Right.
And I cannot wait for everybody to learn about
And
it.
you want to talk about this, I can tell.
I do because
You're waxing long over there.
there's very few things that I endorse.
Yeah.
Like it is a very hard thing for me to say something like give it that high of a
Yeah.
glowing review. So that
Well-
shows you how instrumental it's been in my own life.
I agree. I mean, it is fantastic. And
No.
Anna Kendall,
Yes.
it's important that we know how to communicate. That's what this is about.
That's what it's about. We want to communicate God's love. We want to communicate that to everybody, and we need to understand our communication style, and then when we can understand others, we can speak in a way that changes their life, makes
Right.
them feel important, makes them feel understood and celebrated.
Yeah, and David and Cindy Murdoch are at the table,
Yes.
who are coaches, and we'll explain kind of what that is.
Yeah.
And we're going to be talking about life languages.
Yes.
But this is really important. Cindy, I know is something we've seen a tool used to help people. There's so many like different tests and stuff out there. There is nothing better than this one.
This is like 99.9% on.
Yeah.
And David and I have such a passion for it, and maybe we'll get to share our story later, but we have such a passion because it was life-saving for our marriage,
Yeah.
our families, our grandchildren, and what we've seen it do in the corporate world, as Dorothy said, and in the workplace. It's just, it shows people the opportunity and to embrace who God created them and how to celebrate who they are.
Yeah.
So it's just an amazing assessment.
So David, everyone has a lot of words to say about this for sure. But that's a good thing, right? That they're
That's
excited.
a good thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
It
Yes,
changed
is.
your life.
It changed my life, and it brings to an understanding not only your communication, but your behavior.
Yeah.
Of why
Yeah.
you behave a certain way, why you respond to,
Right.
to others a certain way.
Okay, we're going to get in that and talk about the 7 languages, which we have all 7.
Yes.
But we'll settle into a couple at the top.
Okay.
We're going to talk about that. But Live Languages is a groundbreaking communication tool that's bringing healing and connection to thousands of people. And of course, Anna Kendall, David, and Cindy Murdoch are here to share the heart behind this powerful resource and how it's different from any other personality assessment out there. I've seen them all, taken them. I've never seen anything like this. Part of the reason why is because this was created from the Word of God. And so it came from Romans, right,
Yes, it
Anna?
did.
From the 7 motivational gifts.
That's exactly right. And so
You and Fred.
what Fred and I did was we didn't understand what we were doing, and it was probably good that God didn't reveal everything all at once.
And you
He
didn't
just-
understand each other either.
No, we didn't. We didn't understand each other. We had the same languages then, but we were more toxic. We
Yeah.
were not in the positive parts of our languages.
Okay.
So, but anyway, God first revealed to us the 3 categories, which we call the 3 intelligences, and everyone has the category, the intelligence of the thinking, the cognitive, the emotive, the heart, and the kinetic, or the action.
So you either think, feel, or move first.
You do all 3 of them,
do all
but
of
it's
them.
just what order you do them in.
Right.
And then we started seeing differences under those categories. Like, for instance, in the emotive languages, they're the people who respond to everybody, and they become the networkers, the preachers, the politicians. You know, they're people. And they're the others that respond more empathetically to individuals, and they're the ones that care and
Like
show
nurses.
Yes, and just people with compassion.
Caretakers,
Yes. But
or
they both are
people-
emotive.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and so let's just kind of break it down and we'll go through these. You talked about the emotive, so I'll talk to all 3 of you about it. David and Cindy, quickly, just kind of tell your story, a quick version
I love
of
their
it.
story.
And so it'll kind of help people understand when we start to talk about the languages, why it was important for y'all to understand and communicate with one another, because you spoke totally different languages.
Right. What happened is we took the
Profile.
assessment, thought it was great. Cindy painted a picture of me like I was all that in a bag of chips. We did. But what happened was we decided, because we were dating, so everything went, I was in love with her. I did everything she did, ate what she ate,
Cheese on your hamburgers.
cheese on my
Cheese on your
hamburger,
hamburger, even though you didn't like
shared
it.
my food, and just everything went. Well, she decided for us to go to premarital counseling, which it sounded like a good idea. I didn't think I needed it, but I was in love. So we went and saw Fred. Well, Fred being a direct mover, and he looked at our assessment.
We'll tell you about the mover in a minute. But that's,
He said that y'all gonna have some problems. And it's like, well, I didn't have no problem. And so he said, I don't think you should get married. Well, that hit me wrong. And I said, forget it. Told her I wasn't going back. Forget it. I didn't need it that bad. And so
You said, all I know is I love you.
all I know is I love you. And we had a marriage license that we were getting married. You know, I think it was 30, 60 days, whatever it was, before it expired.
30, yeah.
So, well, she didn't know what to do. Her emotive side was to make everybody okay. And so, well, I struggled with that, to make everybody okay. What about me? If she wanted to make everybody okay, well, in the end, that license expired because she couldn't make up her mind then. And I told her, I said that we either get married or I'm out of here.
He was
not
very
gonna live my
direct.
life.
I have
this
never
way.
heard this story before.
So it was like,
So we got a second marriage license.
so we went and got a second marriage license. We get married. Well, in about a year of dating, in love, 2 years still in love,
In the marriage, yeah.
woke up one morning and something had changed. I had changed. Cindy was still the same. She was still that loving person, but all of a sudden, my softness had disappeared.
your responder had gone
My
south.
responder had gone south.
You didn't speak all the
I
languages?
didn't speak all the languages.
You
I was-
settled into your top 2
This was it.
languages.
And I remember telling her, we was at a restaurant. She reached over to share my food, and I said, stopped it. I said, no. I said, I don't want you to share. Well, I don't want to share food with
And
you.
Cindy was like, I've been doing this for
It was
3
dessert.
years.
It was so romantic. We always did that.
So she says. Anyway,
love this so
then I told her I didn't want cheese on my burgers no more. I said, listen, I never ate cheese on my burgers till I met you. I said, I'm not doing it no more. That's just little tidbits where it changed. Well, lo and behold, we had a problem, and it was really worse. Like I said, Cindy hadn't changed. She got a prayer closet. She got in her closet, had a picture of me. But then I said, let's go back to Fred. I want to go back to Fred.
Yeah.
I said, because, Fred was just direct. He just, he didn't play around with you. So I went back to Fred. I said, Fred, I want us to go through coaching, the basic coaching. I said, I don't want to be a coach. I said, but I want to go through that training to learn. I said, obviously there's something I'm missing. And we went through that training. It was, back then it was 5 days a week, 8 hours a day. And it opened my eyes. It changed my life. It was like, I now know why I behaved the way I behaved. I know now why I didn't understand her anymore.
Yeah.
You know, and it changed my life. And I got into it so much, I said, let's do the advance.
Wow.
So we went through the advance.
And then
we
you said we're going to
the-
be a coach.
Yeah, then the coach.
Yeah. And
First thing you know, we're coaches.
And now this is what you do.
Now we're
Wait, but I want to hear Cindy's side of it. And like, how did you see this tool help him understand you better?
The beautiful part, I think, was that David was so intent on learning it, and he loved me so much, he wanted to learn how we could communicate. So with his responder, influencer being last, and that my first, because there were times he'd say, Cindy, I can't deal with the emotions. Can you just like pull them down, do something? So what happened was he learned how, not that he can just communicate constantly in all that sensitive, warm, emotive style, but he learned that's how I communicated. So he would be that sensitive man, and he would say, Cindy, what do you need, and how do you need it from me? Or he would allow me to talk and express my emotions without him being offended or take offense.
Yeah. And you learned how to.
And then I learned he lives by a plan. And I had to get on board with that plan. And if he ever felt like I wasn't on board with the plan, he would go into distress. Or the mover moves into action so fast, sometimes honestly my head would spin because it's like, I can't make a decision that fast, but he needed fast decisions. But as we learned that, and to this day, 17 years later, we still use the life languages.
17 years later?
Isn't that great? We still work with them.
And David, you told me that you believe life languages saved your marriage.
It saved our marriage because I couldn't see, like I said, she didn't change, I changed, and the things I saw were different. I couldn't accept, didn't understand. Didn't understand why she was always available. Well, that's a communication style.
That's a responder.
Of a responder. They're always, it's like, what do you mean? You're always available, or that influencer, always wanting to connect with somebody.
I totally get Cindy.
Yes, I do too.
She's my bestie. I mean, I have the same languages up there. So, but anyway, let's go through the languages if we can, because again, they come from the 7 motivational gifts.
Romans
exactly.
12.
In Romans 12. And so that's really cool. Now, April over here, what are you? You're
I'm an influencer.
influencer. What's your first one, Dorothy?
Responder.
Look, it's all I have at the table. Your first one is?
I am tied mover shaper.
Okay, definitely. This is my little mover right here. And then
That's me.
right now I'm a shaper. Influencer shaper is what my two are. And Anna is an influencer. Producer.
Yes.
Responder, influencer,
Shaper move.
shaper, mover.
And he's right tied to
Okay, so Rachel totally gets
David.
David.
That's right.
100%.
Okay, so let's go through and talk about the emotives first. Okay, so a responder in the Bible probably would have been King David.
Yes.
Because what did he do? He played the harp, he was a musician, he wrote songs. Creative people are responders, and they have an ability to tune in and be sensitive to people better than any of the other languages.
Exactly.
They can be healthy or they can be unhealthy. That's the other thing we got to say. All the languages are good.
Absolutely.
But you
There's
can-
no bad combination.
But you can be healthy and unhealthy.
Exactly.
And, if
that's
you
how
don't have
Fred and I work.
Jesus, you're not
Yes.
going to be healthy, and responders would kill people.
So you can be
because they're
an-
very passionate,
That's right.
You can be an unhealthy influencer?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely.
Unhealthy, okay, got it.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Oh, totally. I mean, totally you can.
Unhealthy influencer would be a manipulator and a liar. You know, unhealthy responder would be self-absorbed.
Yeah.
You know, unhealthy mover would be assertive.
Don't get ahead.
Okay.
We're on the emotives right now.
Yeah, on the
Okay, so
emotives.
responder, King David, and then influencer would have been
Peter, who talked and talked and talked until he thought of something to say.
Well,
Influencers
he
are
was
great.
always talking. He was like, he was telling Jesus, let me, be on the right
Yeah, because
side.
influencers are connectors. They can seal the deal. They're a great salespeople.
Life of the party.
They're the life of
Fun.
the party. If you
Fun. They like
they're
people.
like the
Great
dolphin.
communication.
They're people. Yes,
People,
they're great
people.
with words. They can think on their feet. I know sometimes I'm thinking on my feet, and David will say,
Said, "You
wow,
just
they're-"
made that up.
He said, "You're that influencer
believe
just
one
popped
word
out
of
there."
it.
With influencers, you have to remember because they may not.
Okay, so responder, influencer, both great, emotive, and by
But
the way,
totally
we have all
different.
7 languages.
That's right.
Yes.
If you take the test, and we have the profile that you can take.
Yes.
They actually gave us a good deal on this. You can go to lifelanguages.com and use the code Joni10 and get $10 off. I think it's
a great deal.
$39 to get the whole of your personal profile. Okay, so the 2 emotive languages, responder, influencer. Now let's do the cognitive. There are 3 of those.
Yes.
Those are people that think first, and we need those in
Yes.
life for sure.
Yes.
So let's start with the contemplator, David.
Contemplator. Okay. That's kind of low on me. They think and think and think.
They do. They're smart.
Then they think some more.
Yeah, and they're
They
professors.
may get to around a feeling.
Yeah.
Rarely do they move into action.
Yeah, you have to really
Unless
encourage
they
them.
care about it.
Or there
Their
was
filter
something they
is,
like,
What's
yeah.
their filter?
And
Am I interested?
Am I interested in this?
Am I really
And
interested?
that's how you connect with the
You
contemplator.
find out what
is
they're
find out what
interested in, and they will talk and talk.
Well, and a contemplator in the Bible would probably be the Apostle Paul.
And could
And
be Isaiah. Paul.
Isaiah, because they like to read, they like to learn.
Research.
They write
gain so much
books.
knowledge, and what we see today in meetings and things like that is they may know the answer, but they're not going to fight to tell you. I may not know the answer, but I'm going to give my
Right.
opinion.
You'll be like, I think I can
I've got it.
answer that. Yeah.
So the contemplator, you almost have to say, tell me what you think.
Exactly.
And then you'll be amazed.
And if you need somebody that loves researching, that's an amazing job for them because they are so philosophical. They love research.
Smart.
They love to know the who, what,
Great
when,
value.
why.
You can't rush them.
And
So,
I need to interject here on the languages is that's when we talk about them, we're talking in a pure form.
That's true.
That's right.
So when we're a blend of all 7, there's other languages that can step in depending on your score and
Yeah.
And
that
shade
step
that.
in and shade that differently.
Yeah, yeah.
That's true. So we
Okay,
are talking
so,
pure form.
so contemplator, let's talk about.
but I have to say about contemplators, it's the only language that actually needs time away to recharge.
That's right.
From
That's right.
people. So
They
when they
do.
get home from work, they
People
might need a
drain
minute.
them.
Yeah.
Or they can't work late constantly. They have to have time to
recharge by
Yes.
themselves.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
A good
Dorothy
30
knows
minutes.
from the corporate world a session that we had one of the workers was a contemplator, and they needed not to be rushed to take care of things. They had to get an email and say, give them some time to make a decision, and it helped save their
Yes.
job.
Okay, so we talked about contemplator. We talked about, let's talk about producer. That's the other cognitive, and shaper.
Yeah.
Producer and shaper. Cindy, you have producer.
I love producing.
I have produced. I love producers.
Producers can save money.
Yes, I do too.
You know,
They're the
if-
best managers.
They can manage all kinds of resources,
Yeah.
and they can manage people, but they are great in resources.
I know a producer that would get coupons and spend hours
Yeah.
and then save so much money
Yeah.
at the grocery store.
Wow. Yes.
With
But
all
their
her
filter
coupons.
is, are you managing your life? If not, let me
Yes.
manage it for
Oh,
you.
yes.
They
That
is
make
right.
great assistants.
Yes, they really do, and they
Are they
struggle.
control freaks?
No,
They're micromanagers.
but they can be micromanagers, and that's
Yes.
something that when you talk about the languages, there is an area that we teach of things you need, essential things that you might need to cultivate, and that would be for the producer not to micromanage, but allow people to develop and
Well,
be
and
who they are.
producer in the Bible would have been maybe Joseph.
Yeah.
Joseph and
He
Abigail.
had that ability.
Yes.
Abigail,
Yes.
who
She was
thought on her
prepared.
feet. Yeah,
Yes.
that's good. And then the last cognitive one, shaper.
Yes.
Yes.
Which is
They need agreement for the plan. And if the plan changes, they need to know why.
Because it can be very distressful
Yes.
if they get pulled off
they're
that
good at
plan.
delegating.
They're amazing
good at leading,
delegating,
yeah.
and they know who to delegate to.
Yes.
They know Z, They go, they see Z, and then they know how to make the plan.
Exactly. They are good at developing people, too. That's one of the best languages for developing people. And they're very strategic.
And so in the Bible, Nehemiah would have been,
Yes.
you know, he didn't come down off the wall, y'all. He had a plan. He was going to get it done.
Plus, he worked under authority. He did not rebel against authority. He got the authority, then he went to make it happen, had the plan, and you're right, never did come down off that ladder.
And CEOs, oftentimes you'll see shapers are the CEOs of companies.
Right. Okay, and so we did the emotive, those that feel first. We did the thinkers that think first. Again, you have all 7 languages.
Action.
So let's go to the action. A mover in the Bible would have been John the Baptist.
And Elijah, lead, follow, get out of the way, make it happen.
Movers are they're great if they're healthy.
Yes, they are.
But they can do some damage if they're unhealthy.
As we all can. They're just not subtle.
We all can.
I think movers can be misunderstood because they're so direct.
Yes.
So they're the type of people that come in and they're like, all right, are we going to post this? What's the plan today? How are we going to get this done?
Yeah.
And then the influencer is going to be the person that walks in and is like, good morning. Did you sleep?
Love that
good?
dress you have on today.
This is a great color on you. And it's like 15 minutes of the things before they get to the action.
Right.
So it's when there's understanding of this is just a type of person who just is very like, let's get it done.
Yeah, my husband
There's a
has
lot
the
of
mover
grace.
in it, and that's mover is my last, okay? And so it's been interesting because our top 2 are the same, but he has really high mover, and he'll be like, okay, let's do this. And I'll be like, okay, but I maybe want to sit there for a second. It's like, well, come on, now, right now.
let's go.
Because they need action.
Right now. They want to move quickly.
They
right
respond
now.
to life first through action.
Yeah.
I mean, whether they say something, or they move into
Or if
action.
I have an idea, and I'll be,
But they are the type
I
of
think we're just
people-
talking about it, and he'll be like,
already
he's
made
on
3
his
phone calls.
phone, sending the wait, I haven't decided if I want to do that.
But what does happen oftentimes with movers and doers, especially movers, I think, is once they feel or think, they either will be glad they said or did what they did, or they'll wish they had never said what they did or said.
Yeah, see, movers have a tendency to look down on themselves, and nobody knows that.
Yes.
And realizes that.
They're hard on everyone else, but they're hardest on themselves.
And we're not going to
hardest on
show it.
themselves.
We're going to operate in confidence.
But they're visionaries. They're visionaries. They're the type of people that can start something that nobody else
Well,
can.
and they also,
Exactly.
forward.
and they're also usually prophetic.
Prophetic and entrepreneurial.
Very discerning.
Yeah.
But unhealthy might be pathetic if you think about it. You know, it's great.
true.
All these are great. I have like 15 kids, not really, but knowing what their life languages are, because
course.
I have one that has been telling me what to do since she was born. And, you know, it helps me as an influencer, responder, shaper to not get offended by it.
Of course,
Not get
that's
my
right.
feelings hurt by it. So it's great. It's not just for
I had to
adults.
learn that
Your
with
kids
my
need to
husband.
take it
Totally
too.
for your kids. And the last one, doer.
Yeah.
That's an important one.
My dad was a doer.
Somebody
Yes.
got to
They're
get
the
it
ones
done.
who get the work done
They get
and to get it finished.
they get it
Movers
done,
start.
and really they probably can do it better than anybody else.
Exactly.
And so it's hard sometimes for them to delegate.
It is.
They make a list. They like to check it off, and
Their
they
thinking
they
is,
get it done.
Yeah, by the time I tell you how to do it and teach you how to do it, I could have done it myself and done it
And
right.
they don't like meetings. Now shapers love meetings. Let's all get together and talk about
Make
this
a plan.
and make a plan.
Do you know something that is great about the doer, and I see this in David all the time, is they have such an eye for detail.
Very
That
detailed.
oftentimes I didn't see it. I'll say, baby, how in the world did you see that? He said, well, it's right there.
Remember your dad? I
So
mean,
the
all the way down to the
details-
color or the line, or I mean the italics.
We knew
or,
all the things. He was so specific.
Yes.
The thing about doers is they love making a list. They're the type of people that will have already done the task, but they'll add it to the list just so they get the joy of crossing it off.
Yes,
One of the
yes.
things that doers in a work environment have to be careful of is they'll get into all of the like tiny things they can move forward, all the tactical
They get
things.
bogged down.
Yeah.
Instead of focusing on like maybe that harder thing.
Something
because they
more
really just want to
important.
keep marking
The real
stuff
vision.
off.
But
Yeah.
but if you want to have somebody who works really good, if you have the shaper doer combo,
Yes.
that I'm just telling you.
Because you want things finished.
Doers
They will
like
go
good.
into distress if things are not finished and finished well.
Yes.
How do you take the test without overthinking it? Because listening, somebody might say, well, I think I'm that, and you might
You
have
just
that
have to be
bit.
honest
question.
on the question.
The way you are
Don't
most of your life,
contemplate.
most of the time, in most situations.
I had
That's
a
what we
friend
say.
that took the test that talked about how the questions weren't right on the test. They were overthinking it, you know? So you just got to go in and just take it.
Yeah.
You have to take off your mom hat. You have to take off your worker hat. You have to take off your husband-wife hat.
Everything.
You have to answer the questions
How am
who
I
you
most-
are most
And
of the
quickly,
time.
too.
Yes.
Sometimes
Exactly.
people do not know themselves.
Yes,
That is
So
amen
that
to that.
So they don't know how to answer.
Okay, so we
Yes.
did. That was doer.
We've done all of
mover.
them.
Well, they said we haven't really touched on responder. We did.
Oh, okay.
But responder, David would have been a responder. Who would have been a doer in the Bible? Maybe Moses?
Moses is a doer,
And
and
Martha.
Martha.
Martha. Oh, yeah.
See, if
And Mary
Moses-
would have been your responder.
Oh,
too.
yes.
Mary,
Yes.
because she wanted
Mary
to go
and-
sit by Jesus'
and
feet.
just
Martha's like,
worship him.
I am having to do all this in the kitchen. I am doing all the work. You are doing nothing.
Exactly.
That's a doer in distress. A doer in
a doer in
distress will say, I do everything.
And so a responder.
I am the only one around here who ever does anything.
true.
That's a doer in distress.
Right. And so a responder, David, Mary would have
Yes, I
been.
believe
Yes.
so.
They, in fact, wherever they are, they embrace that moment.
100%.
Is that right?
In the moment, yes.
Yes.
I remember telling you that sometime back when the girls were in college. Because one of them just seemed to be 100% where she was.
Yeah, yeah. It's true.
And that's
like you never
good.
hear
Yeah.
from them. Like
Yeah.
they're immersed in wherever they are.
Right, right. And you know, if you line these up with Romans 12, it's like the mover is the prophet, the doer is the server, the responder's mercy, the influencer is exhortation.
Exhorter,
Okay, exhorter. Okay,
Producer's
shaper.
the giver.
Producer's giver. Shaper is administration.
Right.
And contemplator's teacher.
Okay.
So that lines up.
Exactly.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, you can actually take the Life Language profile and go to lifelanguages.com and use the code Joni10. You'll get $10 off.
so
and
worth it.
You can learn more about what language you speak. But like you said, April, not just the language you speak, but your husband, your wife, your children, or
grandchildren.
if you're in a workplace like Dorothy was,
Yes.
and you were having to interview people, it will help tremendously.
And save your job.
It's so
Rachel will
life-changing
say
if you
it's-
work in the corporate setting or any job. You're gonna just have so much more success.
Okay.
If you place people in the right position.
And it's fun because it's a discovery time.
It
about
is.
who you
Yes.
are and how you respond.
And let me tell you, Fred and I were not smart enough to figure this out, to have created it. It had to be from God.
Yeah.
Because this came from a mind that was greater than us. We're honored that God used us, but He is the author.
We've done a lot of the other kind of personality,
Yes.
communication type,
Yeah.
and nothing comes close to this.
Yeah, I mean, I love this because it's 7 languages. It's really easy to learn them and get to know them. So when someone says, I'm this, you immediately know, okay, when there's like 50 different things, like you're never gonna realistically know that.
And
so
it's
this is
all-
super
it's-
easy to understand and use in a practical way.
Yeah.
And each language has a mascot or an animal.
Yeah.
So that can help you remember.
Y'all know who the influencers at the table are right here. But anyway, yeah, it's really, it has been a real blessing. And like Rachel said, I mean, I don't endorse anything like this unless I really, believe in it. It really helps people. Well, we are out of time, but don't you remember that everything rises and falls on communication. God cares deeply, of course, how we connect, because strong relationships build His kingdom. That's why He's given us biblical tools like life languages to help us understand each other, heal, and move forward together. If you're watching today and you need prayer, that's really why we're here. And so that prayer line number is on the screen. If you don't know the Lord, that's the most important prayer that you can pray today, and just invite Jesus into your heart. He will change your life. You can call that number. We'd love to pray with you, give you that opportunity to do that. But I do want to thank Anna, David, and Cindy for joining us, and to take the Life Languages assessment or schedule a coaching session. You can visit lifelanguages.com and you can get that $10 off your personal Life Languages profile using the discount code Joni10, that's Joni 10. Well, as always, make sure to follow us on all social media. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for full episodes and exclusive content, and let us know how Table Talk is touching your life. We love hearing from you. You can also listen to the Joni Table Talk podcast, available now on all major platforms. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, little life language people over here, little responders, influencers, shapers. We love them all, and they're all good, and it will help you tremendously. And we hope this has been a blessing to you. Thank you, Anna, David, and Cindy. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye for today. Well, you know, there's always more to the story. If today's conversation stirred something in your heart, don't let it end here. Click on the next video to keep growing in faith and truth. And if you haven't yet subscribed, turn on the bell so you never miss a moment. Let's keep pressing in together.